Gay Republicans whine about fairness after LGBTQ plus nightclub bans MAGA hats. This is unfair. This is discrimination. This is a private company. They can actually do whatever the they want. Just like you said, this baker doesn't have to make gay wedding cakes. Then that club doesn't have to let Republicans in.
Hit them with the Uno reverse card.
Understand that the ones who are the spokespeople that say, we're Trump and they love us and all stuff, you're just tokens. They're using you as a token.
It's the equivalent of a white person being like, I'm not racist. I have a black friend. Hello, my saucy little sleuths. I'm Ansley. I work at Boredwalk, and these are my friends, Tess and Gabe, who also work at Boredwalk. We have heard your prayers, and we are back with another episode of Leopards Ate My Face. Of course, we're going to dive into a few stories from our little Trump supporters who voted for him and regretted it immensely. Does anyone want to start? Okay, I will. Okay. So there is a Wisconsin man who has a Peruvian wife, and she stayed in the States after her visa expired and was detained. And it's not sure if she will be deported or not, but he's like, I voted for Trump, but if she goes to Peru, I might have to go to Peru too. And it's so interesting to me because, like, oh my God, look at that. Your wife, who should be a legal citizen because you are married and she is a Peruvian woman in the States, it could be detained at any minute because she is Hispanic looking in nature, which means she is susceptible to deportation for fun. You voted for that. Eat your own ass, dude. Sorry, we're a little unhinged. By we, I mean me. And yeah, this is just another instance of the racial stereotyping, profiling that MAGA really just voted for and so easily condones until it impacts them. Because a Peruvian woman probably didn't have a legal criminal written on her forehead, but because she has pigment in her skin, dark hair, dark eyes, naturally that makes her a target.
There's a Trump supporter who claims that education is the most important issue, and she posted onto Twitter and says, I'm a Trump supporter and voted for him, but I believe education is the most important issue in our country. Wow. Clearly not true for you.
No.
Because you voted for Trump. My daughter is graduating this year and has been accepted by several universities for her PhD program. However, they all emailed her to retract their acceptance, and now she's left uncertain about her future. I wonder why. Well, she's in a very challenging major, and this situation has made it even more difficult for her. As a mom, I'm concerned about her future. Please do something about PhD students. Please. I'm going to go with the fact that Trump is actively dismantling the Department of Education.
No more learning.
So the other thing I think with this is that a lot of the time, if you are a graduate student or a PhD student, you probably have an assistantship on top of that. So you are getting paid to go to school by working at the university. And so, like, your tuition may not be free or you still have to pay for like certain things, but like you get quite a big stipend because you are also either working in research or you're a teaching assistant or something like that. And if all of that federal funding is no longer there, then specifically if it's like a state school.
Right.
Yeah. Again, just another horrifying example of, well, I didn't think it would affect me.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to say on that is anyone also I've seen online that are like, oh my God, my student loans, what's happening? Like, student loans are being shifted over to the SBA, and they have no idea because
What's the SBA?
Small Business Administration. And so normally you would have loans and help and aid if you're a small business. Like that's the administration that would actually be helping you. However, now, they're told to deal with the loans that were done under education, which is a specific type of, like, it's a special skill on how loans are established, what's the requirements for them, just the ongoing process that goes with them. The SBA doesn't have experience with those loans. The Department of Education does because it's an education thing. And now they're saying, okay, well, we're going to shift that down, we're going to move that over. And so now all these people are like, who am I paying? And who do I talk to? And it's just crazy to think that, like, under Biden, we tried to wipe away these loans, and then Donald Trump's appointed judges were like, that's unconstitutional, that's illegal. And then Donald Trump during the administration or during the campaign was like, look at how Biden teased you all with taking your loans away. And now they're like, great, we're going to dismantle the Department of Education, but we're still going to make you pay for it.
Double whammy.
So, yeah, all these people, nom, 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 your face has been eaten.
Yeah, consumed, some would say. You're fools. All right, what else we got?
Nebraska farmers are upset. Shockingly, Nebraska went for Trump.
Oh.
What?
You know, it's crazy.
The corn state? Damn
I know. They have 4 electoral college votes, but they can all go to different presidents
Wait.
or different candidates.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Okay, Nebraska.
like the different sections, like Biden's first term, the part of Nebraska that's like Omaha, like the biggest city, actually went to Biden.
They should do that. Am I crazy for saying that? I think that's like a really cool thing they should do regardless.
Past election, that is not what happened. All of Nebraska went red. And big part of Nebraska is farming land. And now, shocker, deporting a ton of people has affected farmers.
What?
And now they don't have people.
I never would have known that was a consequence of those actions.
Yeah. So they have labor shortages, subsidy cuts, there's budget deficits. Like they're cutting also just other things that are harming the agriculture industry in general. But a big part of it is like, and I would, as a person who was born in Nebraska and has family there, and some on farms, shockingly, a lot of those people are like anti-immigrants, and it's like, who's working at your farm?
All I know is I was told that illegal immigrants were stealing American jobs.
So why aren't Americans working, you lazy sacks of...
Bingo.
Hallelujah.
Bingo, 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 bingo,
Yeah,
bingo.
and just so we're all aware, there's no confusion, eggs are still $10. Things are really looking good. Yeah, no, I gotta say, these updates are really shocking to me. I had no idea.
I can't believe. I feel like the big thing that keeps coming up is people being like, "Oh my God, he did what he said he'd do." Like that's when it's so infuriating. I feel like it's just like, yeah, he literally said he was going to do that. Education is the most important thing to you. Why'd you vote for the person who said he was going to get rid of the Department of Education?
Because I couldn't vote for a woman. They can't think.
Yes, it does come down to that.
You just didn't want a woman in power. You should say it with your chest.
And you know how Donald Trump is. He's a narcissist, an egomaniac. He loves the validation, and he starves for it, and he's like, oh my God, as soon as somebody laughs or claps for something, I know that's a good issue. And I'm going to continue on that issue.
Moving on to another Leopards Ain't My Face story, and we'll take this one with a grain of salt because I can't fact check this because it's from Reddit. But nautical_J typed in a forum, my coworker is a staunch Republican, thinks Trump is the greatest dude to ever live the planet, never shuts up about him. His wife worked with the federal government and has now been laid off as a result of the cuts. He's now worried they will have a hard time supporting the family. Well, she should get a job at the local farms. She can't. And this is just a really funny juxtaposition of, again, our jobs as content creators probably being more protected than federal positions right now. We're really proud to be Americans today, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I just love coming back to the first Leopards Ate My Face story we did where a veteran who voted for Trump 3 times was fired from his job at the IRS. For those that don't know, the Internal Revenue Service is very integral, but we have Doge now. So I'm sure a billionaire wanting to be a trillionaire is really going to take care of us.
We're predicted to make 10% less in federal revenue from the IRS. Like,
that's really good.
We have less workforce, so we can't keep up. We can't do it.
No way. No way, Jose.
It's almost like this was part of the plan for rich people to not have to pay more taxes.
It's almost like there's a coup. There's a coup happening. I don't know, though. I'm just a silly little content creator woman. I don't have thoughts.
Another story, another munchy, munchy, munch, they ate my face leopard, is the tech bros seem to be not happy with Donald Trump.
What?
Yeah, well, it turns out that when you just let a tyrant and his, sugar daddy go loose on the federal government, there's a lot of uncertainty, in the stock market, but also in the tech market, the industry. There's a lot of executives who now are, again, saying like, well, I didn't think he was actually going to do what he said he was going to do. And so a lot of these people in tech thought that they were going to go into the government and be efficient with a scalpel, like a surgeon, with a steady hand. Except you've got a guy who's high on ketamine with a chainsaw. And so as a result, you've got people slashing programs and laying off people and cutting off access to funds and resources. And now people in Silicon Valley are like, there's a lot of people that are unemployed and we don't have access like we did before. And we don't know what's going to happen. Again, uncertainty causes things to go haywire, and that's why you see the stock market.
Gay Republicans whine about fairness after LGBTQ plus nightclub bans MAGA hats.
Why would they do that? MAGA really stands for peace, equality, and justice.
I don't know what the fuck you're doing at a gay club wearing a MAGA hat.
That's know not what you're doing.
Like, you are... What? That's not what you wear out to a club. Mm-hmm. This is crazy. Like, that's just from a fashion choice perspective, messaging aside, what?
A red hat.
Like,
you're gonna be so sweaty.
I'm like, I also just like love this like person who's
That's the guy?
Macy.
Wow.
I'm not here to shame anyone's appearance, but you're not getting laid at a gay club, sir.
Anyone in any of these groups that are BIPOC or gay or whatever, LGBTQ, understand that the ones who are the spokespeople that say, we're Trump and they love us and all stuff, you're just tokens. They're using you as a token. And
it's the equivalent of a white person being like, I'm not racist. I have a black friend.
Boom.
Yeah.
So it's literally what they're doing.
And yeah, you have these people who are used, propped up to be like, see, we're not bigots.
See?
Well, and it's also like, yes, you're being used. This is supposed to be a safe space for queer people. Like, trans people are truly, like, the entire community is under attack, but like, especially trans people are under attack right now.
100%.
And this is a safe place for that community to be, and for you to show up wearing a hat from the people who are actively trying to kill them is like, so like, it's crazy. And then for them to be like, this is unfair, this is discrimination. This is a private company.
Yeah.
They can actually do whatever the fuck they want. Just like you said, well, this baker doesn't have to make gay wedding cakes. All right, well, if that baker doesn't have to make a gay wedding cake, then that club doesn't have to let Republicans in.
Hit them with the Uno reverse card and shut the up.
You don't get to be mad about that.
There was a video I saw on TikTok, which I don't think it's the same instance, but there's a woman who walks into a gay bar. I mean, I don't know if it was a gay bar or not, but the patrons were obviously not straight. And she walks in and this guy's like, get out. Like, just get out. She's like, what? You don't even want to hear my point of view? And he like grabs the bat and he's like, no, I don't want to hear your point of view. And then the person is like, oh my gosh, like, this is discrimination. And in a beautiful moment of serendipity, every single person in the bar laughs them out of it. Like, what leg do you have to stand on where you genuinely think you're being discriminated against when you're actively trying to dismantle an entire group of people just because you don't like the way they look and clothes better than you? Get real, babe. There's an issue, and it's coming from inside the house, okay? What a joyful time. I don't take glee in us being right. Again, I really think that this is kind of part of the issue is that we are being like, I told you so, but at the same time, like, your actions have consequences, and you voted for this.
Yeah. They're going to experience it. They're going to, they f***ed around. Now it's the find out phase, and we're in a situation where these people are going to face the unfortunate reality of their votes. And those votes are going to cost them things like money, equality, access, affordability, like whatever it is.
Moving on to a review that is just really reflective. This is commented from Michelle on the Everything is Terrible t-shirt. She says, wonderful for advertising who I am on the inside. without having to talk to anyone. And this review really spoke to me because I, too, am, as I said in the last episode, choosing peace. I'm not speaking to a single person I don't like or disagree with. I just don't have the time or energy anymore. I just don't care to.
Sometimes I choose violence.
Yes, Gabe loves an argument on the internet. So if you,
I'm petty and I'm determined, and there's not an argument that I will not go back from.
I've reached a point where I'm like, like the stress streams.
Yeah. No, I get it.
So insane.
I have to walk away from some as well, but I'll go right back into it an hour later.
Again, if I am engaging, I just call them ugly. I will say it. I'll say it again. It works. It always works. So thank you, Michelle, for liking our Everything is Terrible t-shirt. You can order yours in any size you want today at boredwalk.com. And then there was a comment I wanted to respond to. Art Vandalay says, just like a woman, always taking revenge too far. It was on a Girls Be Girls video where we essentially talked about, you snapped my bra strap, so I snapped his head off his body and sacrificed him to a demon. Natural stuff.
Yeah.
Super realistic. And Arts Vandalay says, just like a woman, always taking revenge too far with the wrong form of two. And to that, I invite Art to a personal screening of the movie Promising Young Women. I think you have a lot to learn, Art, about taking things too far. We haven't started.
Art is the type of dude who he definitely comes across AI on Facebook and believes that it's true.
Yep.
Because guess what? That video was a joke, and
We wrote it
Wait,
here.
what?
Yeah.
I was
Gabe's
in that.
son is fine. Gabe doesn't even have a son.
I was told that this was real, and I played it real.
Tess has never summoned a demon successfully.
I know.
Oh my God.
It's really unfortunate.
We're working on that in 20. That's my goal going into 2026 when we get there. Just summon them all.
We're gonna play with our decks.
We're going to play with our decks.
We're going to play with our cards.
The Delve deck.
This is a great way to end the podcast every week. I'm in a much better mood for this podcast because we started like a crazy wavelength, but we love ending with these. They always make me feel better. So Gabe, take it away.
What do kids today, and this is from the Venting edition, by the way, what do kids today have easier than you did when you were growing up?
I feel actually pretty sad for kids who are growing up today.
Same.
And I feel like there's obviously all of the political stuff. There's all of like whatever, the global warming, there's all of that. But I'm like, even from a society perspective, like all of the social media, I don't think that's good. I think about like the trouble I got into on the internet when I was a child, and that was the early internet. So like I'm like, I can't even imagine what would have happened if I had access to what kids have access to today. So something they have easier, I would say we have more medical advancements. We might be going backwards with the vaccine issue, but
And the access to healthcare.
And the access to healthcare. But theoretically, we have had some medical advancements, and that's good.
Yeah.
I would say, I'm trying to put myself in the position of a youth today. Perhaps the access to AI to help with homework assignments or like pitches or hypotheses. I don't know. I don't support the use of AI really much at all. But like, I think if I were a student, I'd be like, this is great.
And like, it's not good for them, but they probably are having a
Really
great
good
time
Yeah.
learning nothing.
The struggle was real, okay, when the early internet came around. And having to, either have one phone line or connect with a 56K modem, and you're, on there on a certain timetable. Obviously, access to the internet is far greater. Obviously, there are downsides to the internet, but like having access to Wi-Fi and things like connection across the world is great. And the struggle of having to go through where you're like, oh, I can only get on AOL Instant Messenger from 5 to 7 p.m. or whatever it might be. That was real hard. Okay, that was real hard. And I think kids have it a lot easier these days, where they can just turn a device on and it's connected. So I think there's a good and bad, but they definitely have it easier in that way.
Yeah.
It's a GPS maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
GPS.
Find your way around. That was really convenient when I was
Yeah.
in Europe. I was like, this is
Maps,
Yeah.
paper, manual.
That's actually great.
Actually,
GPS
no,
is huge.
Pause for a second there. That is a downside though, because I went to Knott's Berry Farm and I was so excited to have like the and like look around. They don't have those. They don't have any paper maps. You have to download the app to have access. I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that. You guys are screwed. Sorry.
No paper maps. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do when the internet goes down and nobody knows how to read a compass? I don't know. Yeah, this is from our original deck, the Delve deck. I think this is like
Middle.
second, third, middle Delve, middle plunge. What life experience did you build up in your head but were disappointed by? I graduated college in COVID. And so obviously I had worked up to imagining walking across the stage in my cap and gown, grabbing my bachelor's degree, celebrating 4 years of hard schooling, only to have it be on a Zoom screen where they didn't use my preferred name. They used Ashley Hutchinson, which was really confusing, and everybody made fun of it and like mocked me. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this is my moment after 12 years of schooling, and the only thing people care about is that they got my name wrong. I had 3 seconds on a Zoom screen, and I watched that alone in my college apartment with nobody around and nobody to celebrate with. So completely disappointing. Never got anything from that.
Any sort of graduation, awful. Kids who had to miss like prom who were
Oh
really
my
looking
God.
forward to that. Any sort of like I felt for people who like I don't know, did like probably not, but people who turned like 21 during the
Oh,
pandemic,
I
like
turned 21 right before the
yeah,
pandemic.
so people who like missed out on milestone birthdays, like anything that you were just like really looking forward to.
Those social things.
Yeah, my little brother graduated high school in a parade of cars.
Yeah.
Where you go through and you have a mask and you go out and you grab. And like, to be fair, like, you know, people were adapting. They were trying their best to stay safe. Like,
Yeah.
it sucked
Yes.
all around. But oh my God, 12 years of schooling, and I don't even get like a college. Like, if at least if it was high school, you have 4 more years to like still get a graduation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of proms were redone in the next year. Not to negate that. I'm just saying, when you're leaving undergrad, nobody, like, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. So I put on my car, like, please Venmo me. I just graduated college in the pandemic, and I think I made like $10. So people hated me. Yeah, it was great. Super disappointing. What about you guys?
My thought for that was driving. I hate driving. I don't enjoy it. And I feel like it's one of those things that you like build up in your head. You're like, oh yeah, I'm going to get my driver's license. And now I don't like driving. And I was very young for my grade. So like all of my friends got their license before me. Like, I'm very much a passenger princess. Drive me around. I have been my entire life. It was, you know, I was born into this life. My friends were driving me, and then I got my license, and I was like, I'm not.
Whoa, me?
I was
Not my
like,
thing.
so I'm also still not gonna drive. Just to be clear.
For me, I think the thing that was built up the most, which reminded me of high school, was prom and graduation. And I never went to my junior senior prom, and I never went to my graduation because I was rowing at different competitions and nationals and things like that. And I feel like it was built up in like 2020 hindsight. Looking back, I'm like, yeah, I didn't need to go to that. I didn't need to like walk out in the field or like have my parents. I again, for them, you know, they got to do it during college and they got to celebrate it then, which is great because that's like a bigger milestone. But for high school, those things where I was like, yeah, I don't need to go downtown and like go dance at the Hilton Hotel and then go get a room and like lose my virginity that night.
Dave's like, still got it, by the way.
V card in my wallet.
Certified V card platinum holder.
Boom! Let me tell you, it's like a bond. It definitely it appreciates in value. But yeah, I look at those things and I hear stories of other people and I'm like, yeah, I didn't need to do that because you know what? I was competing at nationals and I was rowing and doing this thing and I was like with my core group that I had spent so much time with, and this was like the thing that actually mattered, and for a lot of us in many ways, whether it be school, going to college, scholarships, whatever. And when I look at that as like prom and graduation, I'm like, yeah, I don't really miss much.
All right. I'm going to do a middle joy. What's your most prized possession?
My cat.
I was waiting for it.
My cat.
It's like, how could you not say your cat?
I got her an agility wheel, and I built it yesterday. And she's so cute. She goes on the outside and like scratches it, and so we're training her currently.
Yeah.
But she is just
Yeah, I was gonna go with cats as well, because how could you not? I'll try to think of maybe another thing
Cats
that I
acceptable.
love.
I'm gonna say dogs.
Yeah,
Yay!
I'm like, what else? Genuinely, like when the like fires happened in LA, I feel like there was this moment of like, what is important to you and like what are you gonna take with you. And at that time I did not have the kittens that we have now, but literally I like one of the very few things I brought was like a photo album of my old cat Jasper. And it was like that and my Switch. Like that was all I brought. I was like, this is clearly all that I care about.
My journals. I'm a big written word person too. So I'm like, anyway, not important. Not about me.
Hey, no, it can be if you want. For me, similar. Is I got 2 dogs, and like they've been with me for so many different experiences, and I look at that and I'm like, I want to spend as much time as I can with you. Because I know that obviously it's shorter and it's fixed, and that is the real, I'd say, crime in life, is that pets don't age with you the same way that you can have a whole lifetime together. Real best friends. Anyway, but yeah, the prized possessions would probably be those 2, because I look at them and also like, oh, without me you would not survive, really.
Oh yeah.
But also, without you I would not survive, really.
Oh. For sure, got my cat because I needed to be 5150'd. I was like, I need something.
And so I look at that and I'm like, yeah, these are the 2 greatest things in my life outside of my wife.
Oh yeah,
sure
nice way to sprinkle that in, Gabe.
Well, honestly, I bet Sandra would say the same exact.
Yeah, no, absolutely. She's like, yeah, I take you over the dogs any day. But I look at that and I go, these 2 things, for better or worse, days. I'm like, God, I love you, and can't get enough.
So if you would like to take part in answering some of these fun, amazing questions from our Delve decks, you can order yours at boardwalk.com. They are super fun. They are very therapeutic. Great for first dates, first impressions, virginity losing. I don't know. Anyway, we love you guys. We love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Okay, goodbye, y'all.
Bye. See ya.